Subject was taken into custody. This incident could have ended tragically with officers and the subject being hurt or worse, killed. Your professionalism and training kicked in, and you were able to handle the incident and obtain a positive outcome where no one was injured further and the subject was getting the help he needed. On behalf of the members of the St. Clair Police Department, command staff, and myself, thank you for your job well done. Respectfully submitted, Chief Michael Lower.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Captain, thank you, guys. I just wanted to add this, found on the fact that the positive training that the city allows us to participate in and that you finance and pay for has also worked out and kept these officers safe and the people who are kept safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You don't have me at a board meeting.
Huh?
You don't have me at a board meeting.
Well, yeah, you never do.
Greg, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I do not.
Alderman Beelan? Do any of the board members have anything?
I did have one question about the park report. It said in there that they were going out to bid for the installation of partitions. Curious as to why they're going out to bid when I know some of the guys just did the ones in Orchard Park and always before we've done them in-house. So I was just curious if these are like different or what's creating that added expense. Does anybody know? I know he's not here.
Keith's here.
Keith is here. Hi.
That report was turned in to Kim before.
Okay.
Jason and Nick did the partitions,
Okay.
so I did not turn in any other bids that
Perfect.
never came back to me.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
And nice to meet you. Sorry I didn't have a face with the position held.
Does the board have anything else? Does anybody in the public wish to bring anything? Will we approach the podium, please, and state your name and address?
Hey, my name's Nicole DeClue, and my address is 505 Park Drive in St. Clair, Missouri 63077. I have a concern about the park and sprinkler park area with the golf frisbees. I'd like to just show a couple pictures of injuries. There's big, it looks like it needs stitches, a black eye, a big thing out of it, and then when I did call and contact previously, there was a sign that was put up on the Evergreen Park, and it is right there on the side. And I actually went down there yesterday, and I was down there for about 30 minutes. It was a nice day, and there was 2 groups of 5 that came up there, and I actually have it on recording, but not necessary to show. But there was a disc that flew about 25, 30 feet from the park. And then a couple of these signs that we have here, I don't know how familiar you guys are with this, but it actually is hole 17, and you've got to throw 227 feet to get to the next basket. And in this photo, you have the park here, and you are throwing over here. There's no picture of the park or caution of the park at all. And then there's also another one right here, which is 274 feet. That hole is hole 14. And you're actually throwing from one side of the bridge to the other 274 feet. And again, there's no showing of the park or anything, which is to the left. And that's one of the main concerns that I have. And there is also Park 13, which is a concern about the walking path in St. Clair. It's a walking path that goes like this, and there's a big blind spot, and you're throwing here to around where the blind spot is. So any anybody that's walking or doing that really has to pay attention for the flying disc. I mean, it's unfortunate that it's the blind spot, but those are my concerns. So my first incident that I really had that bothered me was I was on the swing set with my 3-year-old son, and you've got one that's a little taller on the right when you're looking toward the left, and you've got one that's a little shorter. There was a disc that came and hit the pole that was equivalent with my son's head, and it hit the pole that we were swinging on, and it actually put an indentation in it. If that would have been a couple feet over, it would have hit my son in the face. And, you know, that's, as a parent, I do not feel like I should have to feel like that when I take my child to a public park. And my other thing is that if this is happening, you know, in the fall right now, what's going to be happening in the spring or summertime whenever you have a whole bunch of kids at the park and the sprinkler park playing, and you're also going to have an increase of the Frisbee golfers playing, so there's going to be an increase of the Frisbee golfs being thrown, as well as children that it could potentially hit. I definitely understand, you know, a parent trying to watch their child and watch for a flying disc coming at their child, but say you have a grandparent there with their 3-year-old toddler, you know, and what if that grandparent can't run to save their child or, you know, their grandchild from getting hit and injured by this? And this could cause concussion, this could cause a lot of serious injury to an infant. And this is, again, a public park. My suggestion would be a net, like a soccer net or something on the west side, which is where that 274th throw is from the one side of the bridge to the other. And I feel like that would keep the disc from going into the park area. We could remove some of the baskets, or one I think would probably be a little bit more appropriate and easier would be to add a basket, which is not 274 feet, from throwing across the bridge, because it is a wooded area. So, you know, like I said, there's also nothing stating, there's a park here, please be cautious. I mean, there's discs saying be cautious of flying discs, but there's nothing saying, hey, there's children up here, please be cautious. And my concern is, I know that there was a sign that was put up saying, you know, beware of a flying disc, but what kind of accident has to occur before we can put serious effort into resolving this issue? Because I do not feel like putting a sign up is the correct action to take. And then not only if you have one child, what if you have 3 or 4? What if you're taking a group of kids to play? It's very hard to watch 3 or 4 children as well as flying discs coming at them from, you know, different directions that you might not see them coming from. Those discs come very fast, they're thrown very hard, especially if they're trying to be thrown 274 feet. That is a very long way, and especially if you do not have experienced players, how are you going to, you know, be confident that they are not going to throw the discs towards the children? Which, like I said, I live at 505, which is somewhere that I personally walk with my child regularly, and this is a concern, and it's not one that's just occurring. This is one that's, you know, an issue, and I've come to find out that, you know, you guys are not aware of the issue, but this is a serious issue that really needs to be looked at. This park is also handicap accessible. There's a swing there. You know, that also is a concern. If flying discs are coming at handicapped children that are playing, how is that, you know, it's just something that needs to be resolved. Like I said, I would like to see, another point that I would have is like with baseball fields, you have children playing baseball and soccer and things of that nature. Well, whenever people are playing softball and baseball, there's a fence up. So then that way, whenever something happens with the ball, it's not hitting the people behind that are watching, just as a safety precaution, you know, as well as there's places for the kids to be whenever they're not playing actively. Well, this is not a game that, you know, the children can participate in. Not only that, with a small child, are they supposed to look at the sign and say, oh, I need to watch for flying discs? And that's my argument, it's my concern. When I try to be the very best parent that I can be, which is why I'm standing here today, because I do not feel like my child should get hit with a disc before something happens. I do not want to have to go to the emergency room. I do not want to have to be scared to take my child to the park. And that's something, like I said, as easy as putting in another basket, putting signs up saying beware of, children, as well as, something that would keep the disc from going into that area. Like I said, summertime, there's going to be a lot of kids. There are a lot of kids playing. There's a lot of parents playing. How are parents supposed to keep these discs from hitting their children when there's so many children playing? It's just not realistic in my eyes. And so that's why I'm here today, to see if there's something that's more realistic that we could, take a look at to resolve this issue. And that's all I have.
I don't know about that side, I think it'll be climbed or vandalized. Or cut off.
I don't know anything about the game she's talking about. I don't know what they do. I don't have time in my life to play games, so I don't know what she's talking about. The flyer is, I don't even know what it is. So,
I mean, I'm not sure what the easy solution is, but I agree with Art, it's very well presented, and I commend her for coming out, and I didn't know it was an issue. I've been to the park before, but I've never had that issue. Obviously, one time is one time too many, and it may be something that we need to look at. If nothing else, the signs just letting disc golf players know that there are children around at that hole especially, so.
Right, because we had the signs replaced after she originally called, signs were down. But I don't think there are any in the course itself, to holler or watch for children at play, if they're going anywhere
Yeah.
near those baskets. But if they're on the playground themselves, the baskets are, where that closest basket, Keith, I think you measured it out.
It was like 75 feet away, and that's up a decent sized hill.
Yeah.
Well, I think the disc golf course was there before the playground. So that probably was not thought out and the playground was there. So I think maybe we should address whatever we can with the playground rather than ask the disc golf guys to do whatever, because I think that's a regulation course. I think people come from all over the county to play that course so that they can qualify to go on. So I think whatever we do, we need to look at rectifying that at the playground site and not necessarily with the disc golf, because we're not really on good terms with those fellows right now, and I certainly wouldn't want to cause any other issues. So I think that's maybe Keith could kind of pursue that and see what options there would be to put a net maybe there, as well as signage.
If they put a net down there close to a playground, they're either gonna climb it, vandalize it, or they're cutting it off, or things like that. I'm not sure on that, but I thought I saw one of the comments on social media about shrubbery. So we'd have to look to see if maybe live screens would be an option. I mean, very minimum signs of the disc golf.
Yeah.
The close baskets, where they're having to throw past or near, maybe put signs out, for them to be cautious of. This is
Yeah,
the
I
first
definitely-
issue I've ever heard of anything with the park or disc golf. I mean, it's all been there for quite a while.
I definitely agree. I don't think asking, like she said, one of her suggestions was to add another basket. I don't think that's a viable option right now with the way the course is set up. But just putting maybe a little caution sign on the sign of the hole, where they throw, the throw for that hole, just to let them know that they're throwing into an area that sometimes children play in, would be a step in the right direction.
And she did mention on the legend for the holes, because that was put in before the playground, there isn't anything on that to tell the golfers that there is a playground area. So that could also be rectified by indicating that on the, I don't know if it's called the legend or whatever, but the layout for the golfers, that they're approaching a playground area.
Yeah, I bet you could buy a
verbal
vinyl.
warning, just like regular golfers, they could also give verbal warning,
Yeah.
That's right too.
Yeah. of even a vinyl sign added to the legend, or like you said, whatever that layout map is called in disc golf, you know, might be able to add a vinyl sign that just lets the players know that they are throwing near. But the terrain of the park and the hole, I'm a little confused as to, I mean, I know obviously people of all types of players play out there, but it would be up a pretty steep hill. They're gonna have to throw it really far off to get up into the playground. So I wonder just how often it happens, because like I said, I've been there before, taking my kids there, and I've never seen one come into the area even close
No,
when
I
I've
would
been
say
there.
getting off the playground area anywhere else could pose an issue.
Right,
for
you're
sure.
gonna be in the course, yeah, but in the Clair Park and in the playground, and even in the pavilion, I've never had an issue, but it is definitely something to be addressed.
Yeah.
Not to address after a situation when someone gets hurt, that's not the time to address it.
Anyone else? We have to have a motion.
At this time, I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
You gotta add that number.
Oh, sorry, I didn't read my words here. Pursuant to RSMO 610.021 to discuss real estate and personnel.
Second.
May I have roll call, please?
Alderman Beelan.
Aye.
Alderman Guthrie.
Aye.
Alderman Sykes.
Aye.
Alderman Sandy.
Aye.
This time, after we close the public meeting, to go into executive session.